Okay, so in the last video, I made all these claims about special relativity and quantum mechanics, and I said that this was points for continental philosophy, this philosophy of the subjective, because because they are moving us away from the absolute. These things that we continually think are absolute are actually not that absolute, and the more time that passes, the more that we can see that actually those things are either inaccessible to us or they depend on us so much that they're not absolute at all. This video is about making the exact opposite case. Lights. So the argument from the previous video is that every time a revolution in science happens, we lose some core objective thing that we're holding on to. In the example of, I think the best example to use is actually the Earth rotating around the sun, or likewise. In that example, we thought we were the center of the world. We weren't, and we all lost our minds. And Galileo got put on house arrest. The implication, if we were thinking in the terms of the last video, would be, oh, well, there's an objective center to the universe, and then we discovered that there was no objective center to the universe, and that was destabilizing to us, and that should be points for continental philosophy. However, I think there's actually, we can flip it. Let's flip it. So perhaps a more nuanced way to think about that question is, but didn't we discover something along the way? Yes is the answer. If we look at special relativity, we say space is relative, time is relative. Everything's relative, but it's not. It's not everything relative. We discovered something more fundamental, which is space-time. Space-time is absolute. Space-time is more absolute than space individually and time individually. Same thing with the sort of famous E equals mc squared. The energy can disappear. Matter can disappear. Doesn't that violate conservation of energy? Shouldn't we be lost? Shouldn't we be worried that some objective rule has been broken? Well, actually no, because matter energy is more fundamental than both. So in each of these frameworks, we find something that we think is tearing away at objectivity, but actually what science is doing is it's finding something more fundamental. A final example of this could be Newtonian gravitation. There were some people that were upset that you could talk about the heavens, like heaven, as following laws of gravity. Doesn't that take away from the sort of God is in the heavens, the objectivity of the Lord being pulled away by the heavens don't follow those same rules that rocks do, but actually they do. It's just that's not heaven. That's they're rocks. So we discovered something more fundamental in the process, not less fundamental in the process. And then you could also do the same thing with the wave function in quantum theory. Sure, position we deconstruct. Position's not an absolute thing that we thought of before, or momentum is not as much of an absolute thing. It's contingent on other things. But we did discover the wave function, which seemingly is more fundamental than the other things. The ontological status of the wave function is a matter of debate, so who knows? So where are we now? We got one video saying that subjectivity reigns and objectivity is lost every scientific revolution, and we've got another video that says actually objectivity reigns every scientific revolution, just casts away something that we thought was objective, and we really find something that's even more fundamental. So the question is which is it? Is it the case that as time goes on, we further and further understand our human limitations and recognize that we cannot and will never know the fundamental reality of the world itself? Or is it the case that the further that time passes, the more that time passes, the greater an understanding we have of objective reality, such that we do know objective things about the universe. We didn't know about DNA before, we didn't know about carbon atoms before, we didn't know about black holes, and now we do. And it seems like as time goes on, we know more and more of the things about the objective world. So which is it? I don't know the answer. The arguments on one side make sense to me. The arguments on the other side make sense to me. Hope you enjoyed this little dialectical YouTube dialectic vlogging. That's a thing now, I guess. If you liked it, if it made any sense, if there was something interesting, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you didn't, there's also the dislike button and a click on another video button. I'm making these so that I can clear up thoughts about different issues and try and see multiple sides of debates that I normally would just see one side of. Cool. Alright, talk to you in the next one.